Hello, everybody, and welcome to Health Confidential with Simone Gisondi, the podcast where the secrets of the body meet the mysteries of healing. Each week, I explore the powerful world of holistic medicine, blending ancient wisdom and cutting edge science, conventional insight, and unconventional truths to decode some of the toughest cases and the most misunderstood conditions. I'm a certified holistic cancer therapies practitioner, a registered holistic nutritionist, and certified regenerative detoxification specialist. I am not a medical doctor. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. The diagnosis and therapies discussed here may not be right for you. Please consult a qualified healthcare medical provider before making changes to your health. To learn more about my work or to experience the power of the custom-made healing protocols that I develop, designed specifically for your unique body, your unique biochemistry, your history, and your internal terrain, visit simonegisondi.com and book a private consultation with me. And if this episode speaks to you, follow me on Instagram at simone.gisondi and share this episode with someone you love. Thank you for listening, and welcome to today's episode of Health Confidential. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Health Confidential. As you all know, I try to bring you the latest and the greatest guests that I can so that you guys can have a good view of every angle of holistic health. And every once in a while, someone walks into the healing landscape and refuses to whisper. This is how I feel about my guests today. They're unapologetic, and whether you agree or disagree with them, their presence just wakes you up. They challenge the beliefs that we cling to and even the comfort zones that we hide behind because, let's admit, we've all been conditioned by society to accept what is put in front of us. So today I have one of those unapologetic voices with me. Dr. Darrell Wolfe, who is known globally as the Doc of Detox, has spent over 4 decades, that's right, my friends, 40 years, stirring, provoking, inspiring, and pushing people to take radical responsibility for their health. Because let's be honest, that's the only way you can achieve health, by taking radical responsibility and radical action. He is a fellow Canadian health practitioner. He's also an author, a speaker, and the founder of the International Training Institute of Health. He is the author, for those of you that are wondering, what has he authored? Well, he's the author of Healthy to 100 and The Perfect Day Lifestyle Guide, as well as the Wolfe Non-Surgical Bodywork Manual, amongst, of course, other writings that form the foundation of his healing philosophy. Now, his work spans physical detoxification, of course, hence the name Doc of Detox, emotional release. We're going to touch on this because it's so important. Indigenous medicine, unconventional therapies, and the deeper truth that the body is not your enemy. It's your actually greatest ally when you learn how to listen to it. For you guys that don't know about him, so you probably have been under a rock because he is so out there, prevalent in, especially online. His philosophy is rooted in the idea that psychological patterns actually shape biology. I'm a huge believer in this, and this is why I wanted to have him on the show. And that true transformation actually begins with self-responsibility and awareness, of course. Through his books and his lectures and his summits and, of course, his global community of self-healing advocates, his message has actually reached millions, including me, and challenged countless people to rethink what healing really actually means. So this is a conversation about healing, but it's not going to be a gentle conversation. I'll tell you that. This is the kind that actually cracks you open and asks you to stop negotiating with your own suffering and accepting what the mainstream puts in front of you. And it's also going to be the kind of conversation that demands that you reclaim the power that you've outsourced. Dr. Darrell Wolfe, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much. It's actually a real honor to be on your show because I love your show and I love what you do.
Thank you so much. I'm actually really, really looking forward to having this conversation with you in particular because you're someone that has pushed boundaries, and I have the same kind of approach to things, even from my own experience. I know that you challenge norms. I have too, and you force people to question the stories they've been handed about their bodies And I've been down that path when I was going through the medical community as a patient. So today I want to go beneath the headlines and beyond the controversy just to understand the essence of what drives your work, because I really want the audience to understand that there's a facet to healing that they haven't even touched on that is probably their greatest ally and the key to true healing. So thank you so much for being here so that we can actually educate people. So let's start at the beginning, because no one arrives at this kind of conviction by accident in any way, or shape, or form. So every every healer, which you are, has a singular moment, like a crack in their life, where the world that they were living in simply just stopped making sense, and you start to question. What was that moment for you that brought you here? What put you on this path?
I think the first thing was actually my grandfather, when
Oh.
he got bowel cancer and the way that it was handled.
Hmm.
And, I'm back at 17 years old and understand something. Even back then, I don't say whatever you want, but you know what? Logic's logic, and logic can be in the present moment is called critical thinking. And I actually had that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he got bowel cancers. They call it stage 4, but actually, I don't believe in cancer either. I don't believe cancer exists. There's a lot of things I'm going to say today. If people were to follow my work and they were actually be logical, they'd understand that that everyone's been harvested for the last 150 years. And
So
but
true.
we'll leave that alone. The reality is that when he went to the hospital, he was there 10 days and he never had a bowel movement. Meanwhile, he has bowel cancer.
Oh.
So basically, I won't go through the whole story, but it was quite a thing just to get him out of there. And that's why I tell everyone, if you have any loved ones going to the hospital, if there's not an advocate that's with them, protecting them, then shame on you. I'll leave that alone. There it is. But the reality is that what we did was we brought him home, and then guess what? Here's me, 17 years old, my mother, trying to figure out how to do an enema. And I won't go through how disgusting it was just trying to unblock his bowels. It
Oof.
was so bad. But meanwhile, here he is in the hospital. He's got bowel cancer, never had a bowel movement for 10 days. Seriously? Are we like, what's going on here? So that's that. And believe it or not, as soon as I finished with high school, I hitchhiked to Gary, Indiana, because back then we didn't have a lot of money, and I stayed in the backyard of Dr. Wood, and he was a doctor, a naturopathic doctor, and he taught how to become a colon therapist. And I stayed in a pup tent in his backyard to attend this school, and went on a watermelon fast while I was there to become a colon therapist. So that was the first tipping point.
Wow. So let me get this straight. He was in the hospital for 10 days without a bowel movement, and the
Without a
doctors.
bowel movement. And understand this, it took us 3 days to unpack him. I'm
Whew.
telling you that I had to put gloves on because I had to actually go in to get out that dry fecal. It was the most disgusting thing. My mother, she kept running away because she had to throw up. But the reality is this, after the 3 days of us learning how to do this and pushing ourselves to do this, I didn't know anything else about health, but to understand something, he didn't have any more pain. He didn't have any more pain. And even the pain was actually the blockage. Okay. I want
I, I
everyone to
I'm
get,
just I'm still in shock, Darrell, because I know that anatomy and physiology, including their functions, are part of the medical education curriculum, or
no, they're
curricula
not.
for that
Not
matter,
much. Not, no,
worldwide.
no, not much. Not much.
They can't
Not much.
possibly have not questioned the fact that this man has not had a bowel movement in 10 days and think that that's normal. There's no way. Even from a common sense perspective, take away an MD, take away anything. It just doesn't sound normal that somebody would not go to the washroom to do number two in 10 days, and for them to think that, well, yeah.
Are you serious? I talk to people that don't go to the bathroom 3 days or every 7 days or every 10 days, and their doctor says it's normal for
Oh,
you.
Goodness.
because I don't know, the doctor believes they have some kind of fecal waste compactor inside of them. What people do not understand is the
Wow.
large intestine is the holy grail. The
It
Royal
is.
Society of Medicine actually did the biggest study on the large intestine that was ever done. Now, remember something. The Royal Society of Medicine, that's Great Britain's medical system. And you know what they said? Now think about this. This is a medical system. They said that 85% of all your pain, suffering, and diseases originates from your large intestine. And it's not. It's 95 to 98% actually, and I can prove that. And the reality is this, people look at people. Most people look like they're 3 months to 6 months pregnant, even if they're men. And that's because they're rotting out.
Yep.
Listen, America is rotting out. We are
Yeah.
rotting out. Stinking thinking, rotten bowel, leaky gut,
Yeah.
leaky brain. Leaky gut causes leaky brain. Everybody needs to do that, know this. And Alzheimer's, dementia, Lou Gehrig's disease, multiple
Parkinson's.
sclerosis, um, anxiety, depression, ADD, ADHD, foggy memory, can't remember things. This
Yeah.
is all the bowel. It's called leaky gut. The tight junctions get tore open due to glyphosate, antibiotics, um, toxic chemicals, heavy metals, the poisons that they're putting in everything. But they're all targeting the large intestine. If people just got that the large intestine has been targeted since the beginning of the medical system, people will say, look, antibiotics were the greatest thing that was ever invented. Are you like out of your skull? Okay. If you take an antibiotic, it can cause a life-threatening problem because it tears open the tight junctions in your large intestine. So now you're pooping in your pelvis. And this
Yeah.
is why they say, oh, wow, first of all, I'm getting chronic fatigue. Well, yeah, because your colon is in a coma and you tore open the tight junctions. You're pooping into your pelvis. Your liver's trying to look after what your bowel used to do. And now your liver's got chronic fatigue. And now guess what? You got fibromyalgia. And now you've got a fatty liver because of inflammation. And now you're going to get
Yep.
cirrhosis of the liver. And then guess what? Do you know something? And I just want to say this. Bladder infections are mainly from E. coli. E. coli can only come from the large intestine. Did you get that? So that's from leaky gut. Next thing is that kidney disease is a pandemic right now, and that's because of the large intestine breaking down and being tore apart intentionally. And
Hmm.
I'm going to add one more thing. Those who actually got, all you got to do is do your research, everyone. That for God's sakes, do your research. For every vaccine that you took, every COVID vaccine you took, and if your bowel is in a coma, understand something. That's why kidney disease is now a pandemic. Between the colon breaking down and the V, we can actually prove that that's where all the kidney disease is coming from. That's where all the bladder infections are coming from. How about this? The large intestine leaking into the pelvis, that's where all the low back surgeries, the hip surgeries, not all, 95%, all low back surgeries, hip surgeries, knee surgeries, ovarian cysts, endometriosis, okay, fibroids, tumors in the actual pelvis and in the breast are actually caused due to that large intestinal problem. Okay, menopausal symptoms. Because
Oh
when your
my
period
goodness.
slows down and you're still pooping in your pelvis, girl, and if it wasn't for your period, that's the only reason why women live longer and stronger. There you go.
It's funny you say that because I remember when I spoke with you not too long ago, and I was telling one of my clients that of course, the oncology world is all about making sure that everybody believes that, they have cancer. And I said, did you know that they actually say fibroids were once upon a time called fibroids, and in the oncology world, they're actually referred to as tumors. I said,
Well,
and it's,
actually, what they did do, love, is they called a fibroid something benign,
yeah,
and then they called the tumor something cancerous. So
yeah,
now my friend is an oncologist, not anymore, okay, but
God bless.
I asked him about 6 years ago. I said, listen, why did they change instead of calling and telling people you have a fibroid, which is benign, and a tumor, which they call cancer, which I don't believe in cancer. I just believe in stage 4 inflammation. And
Yeah,
if you want, in a nutshell, I can tell you why cancer doesn't exist if you want, but if you don't, I won't.
I
But
definitely do. We'll
the
get to that for
reason
sure.
why they did that was is guess what? You ready for this? Here he says, Darrell, I know you're gonna don't. He said, this is just what we're told. That's all. Well, I think that what we should do is we should call them all tumors because what if we're wrong and the chances that a fibroid's going to turn into a tumor anyways, we might as well call it that way so that we prepare people for the worst.
Oh my God. Psychological warfare.
Warfare. And understand the psychological rules the biological. And if anybody wonders why I look red right now, because I went and did a little bit of my IGF-1 and I took too much of it. IGF-1 is what your body used to make when you were younger to give you all that vibrant energy.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know, everyone. So if you see me going red, it's not because I just went to the suntan place, but understand something. And not that you may think that I look good at all, but I'm just turning 70. So
Oh no, you look amazing. And I know how old, I didn't want to obviously say anything about your age, but just if you, when I watch you speak, just the amount of strength and vibrancy, like that is such a clear indication of how healthy or unhealthy someone is. And when I see how much strength and energy is behind even your messages and the way you deliver them, I know that. And I knew, of course, I knew your age, and I'm like, man, this guy knows what he's doing to be able to kick ass so hard at 70. Because I know that a lot. I mean, my parents are in their 70s, and they don't hold a candle. So I do
if I
understand it.
and if I could throw this into the mix, I just want to say this, everyone. The greatest detox you'll ever do is when you have unconditional love for yourself and you never judge yourself or put yourself down again. And then
That's
when you
right.
stop judging the rest of the world and when you start observing, and when you observe, you learn and you grow. And when you judge, you burn. That's it.
Yes, let's talk about the emotion, even identity and illness, because I'm heavy on that, and I this was learned on my own skin. So just to give a quick overview for those of you that are just tuning into my show, back in when I was 35, and I'm not trying to age myself here, but when I was 35, and I say that just because I want to illustrate how young I was. So I was in a very tumultuous marriage. There was betrayal, but I was extremely regimented when it came to my body. And I admitted, I had a conversation last night with one of my friends. She's a nurse, so she's in the health field as well. And I was telling her, I said, when I was growing up, I was actually more afraid of being fat than I was of being sick, literally. I was just the idea of looks and vibrancy and health, and I told myself I'm going to have kids in my 20s because I really want to be healthy and bounce back as quickly as possible. So in my 30s, I was my family doctor because I used to go and run my bloods. My family doctor used to say, "You are my most exemplary patient." My blood work was like off the charts good. I was eating so regimented, getting my 8 hours of sleep. I was so like I had a really good structure. I was at the gym 6 days a week, used to run 45 minutes, wanted to make sure my lymphatic system was constantly pumping. Anyways, and then I had the stroke. And the doctors were like, "What the hell?" Even the doctors, because I to this day I've not had a medical answer as to why I had the stroke, because there was absolutely nothing. I was not hypertensive, I wasn't a smoker, I wasn't overweight, much like what I said. I had no, I
Stress.
wasn't.
It was stress.
It was 1,000% stress,
It's
Darrell.
called brain burn and it's called I'm not
Oh,
good enough. I'm not good enough. And I have to, I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough.
if
Okay.
people
I'm not a good
knew.
mother. I'm not a good lover. I'm not a good woman. I'm not a good person. And welcome to the program because the subconscious is only a computer.
Yes.
And I can, in 5 minutes, I can get, if we have time, I can give people a rationale that will blow their mind because everybody thinks your brain is intelligent, and the most intelligent part of your body is actually your bacteria. And the brain is just a computer
Yes.
and a chemist, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else. Get that into your head,
It's
everyone.
a
And because
processor.
it's a
Yes.
computer, it can be programmed by somebody else.
That's right. Yes. So yeah, again, I was asking the doctors. I mean, they ran so many tests, Daryl. I was like a lab rat, and they wouldn't be able to give me an answer. To this day, they haven't given me an answer. I obviously started doing research, but yes, I can go back and say, and much like what you just said, because my ex-husband betrayed me, I had this huge complex of like, I'm not worth the truth and I'm not worth the love from this man. So I started
It,
to,
if I can say something, if it was a sexual betrayal, then it was either stroke out or get what they call cancer. I call stage four inflammation on your right breast, or to get a problem with your uterus or ovaries. So those were the selection that you get for that emotional thing.
mhm, yeah. And so I really want to get people to understand what a huge, and I'm so glad that you speak about this, what a huge correlation is, because I tell people, irrespective of how good your diet is, if your nervous system is not regulated and you are judgmental towards yourself and you shrink and you go into these loops and spirals of self-hatred, self-judgment, self whatever you want to call it, it's going to manifest because all of that energy does get stored into your tissues. And eventually, when your body just doesn't have the capacity to hold anymore, which is typically why diseases end up happening mostly in people in older, let's say, years, if you want to call it that. And that is exactly what happens. That those energies will seek an outlet, and if you're not going to
Well,
discharge that energy,
if
you'll
I can
express it.
say this, what you cannot process, you will store. And that's all the way from a pimple
Yep.
to a boil to a
Yep.
cyst to a fibroid to a tumor. Okay.
Yep.
What you cannot process, you will store. And depending on the type of emotion, will depend on where in the body you will call the dis-ease, because the dis-ease means you're not at ease, which means you're not in alignment with unconditional love for yourself. If
Yeah.
you use conditional love to process things like that, which you went through, you'll have a blowout. And if I can say this, um, for those who are watching, if you go to my bhnapp.com and go into my evolve section of my master classes, we have the biggest masterclass library in the world. You'll see what's in there called the emotional, okay, the emotional intelligence of cancer, disease, and healing. And it tells you and it shows you all the way from any type of condition in this masterclass. It took me a year and a half to put it together and show you how how your emotion all the way to what they call cancer is created through not being able to process properly. And
Yep.
then I also did a project, took me 2.5 years, and it's called the Braveheart Online Emotional Intelligence course. We used to charge for it. We don't anymore. And it's a 33-day program to actually learn how to love and unravel the BS, the dysfunctional belief systems from your mother, your father, your peers, your teachers, your preachers, and the so-called authoritarians out there that have been given authority over you that actually should have never been given that. And it's to show you how to
So true.
unravel that and go in and love you.
So, just so that people can understand the just how big this is, how much of chronic illness, and I'm talking about the cancers and the biggies out in the world, how much of chronic illness, in your view, is emotional suppression rather than biochemical dysfunction?
I think nobody can actually really tell you this, but this is just me. So when I say something, somebody or anybody out there, I'm look at you. You might think I'm as dumb as a stump, but I've been at this for over 43 years, 43
Yeah,
years that actually practicing and understand this. I really believe that it's 95 to 98%.
yeah.
And I really do. And the reality is you're not going to get anybody saying that. And but here's the deal. If I can say that, this is all about psychology, right? Well, I'm just going to tell you something, and this is where I get a little bit controversial, but there's not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and most of the so-called whole life coaches out there had their head up their butts so far. I mean, Freud was a pedophile, sick person, and that's what our psychology is based off of. And that was done
Yes.
on purpose to actually hog tie 8 billion people. Because guess what? Isn't it kind of funny how right now these psycho billionaires actually they run the world, and there's 8 billion of us, and all we do is attack ourselves and each other,
So
and
true.
they've already won. They've already won. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy about how um, the the entire, I guess, subset of whoever runs the world has been able to infiltrate our minds to the degree that they made us be able to inflict the pain and the diseases upon ourselves just by taking over our minds. And of course, I mean, you see it from every angle, from social media to, let,
Well, what I say to people is this: it might be just there's I don't know if people know this, and I don't want to get too controversial on here for
that's
you,
okay.
but there's 13 families, everyone. It goes back. It goes back further than anybody wants to even believe. But the reality is this: if they had so much power, why do they have to buy the media, the government, the medical system,
Yes.
control the army, the police? Why do they have to control everything that we listen to? Why do they have to own all the corporations that make our food? Well, because they don't have any power. Okay. And we gave our power to them. And by
Ah,
going to every bloody public school. Can I backtrack? I want to tell you a little thing about stroke, if I could. And this is a true
please.
story.
Yes.
This is a true story, everyone. Okay, so I hope you know this. 4 weeks ago, a gentleman, um, uh, he goes and he has a stroke. He's 45 pounds overweight. His wife calls me and says, "We're in the hospital. My husband just had a stroke. What should we do?" I said, "Get him the heck out of there."
Oh, I wish I
I
had
don't
you.
think I said heck. I said, "Get him the heck out of there and do not feed him. Don't feed him anything." So I'm not going to tell you everything we did, but I just want to show you something. So he had a stroke and he couldn't walk at all. I mean, he was gone. He couldn't talk. He couldn't walk. Okay. He's over 60. He pushes himself really hard, owns his own business, 45 pounds overweight. Okay. All right. And people can believe this or not believe this. So that was just 4 weeks ago. And right away, what I did was I put him on an advanced water fast where he did nutraceuticals that wouldn't turn on his digestive tract. It bypassed his Krebs cycle. And so if you don't do that, then I put him into complete autophagy to go and eat up the inflammation and scar tissue that was actually in the brain right away. Because if you feed somebody food and they've had a stroke, the scar tissue will accumulate in the brain and it's so hard to get out. And if you don't bring the inflammation down right away, you pull calcium from the skull and it goes into the area that is damaged to try to bring the fire down because it's so acidic. So it wants to bring the balance of pH. So that's why osteoporosis is so bad because everybody's giving up their calcium. Would you rather give up your calcium or have cancer? So that's why your body steals the calcium from your bones. So it'll steal wherever the inflammation is in the body. That's where it steals it from. So it's really calcification and scar tissue is all disease. It's all disease. So when you get a blockage in your body, you get swelling, you get redness, you get inflammation, you get stiffness. All of this can be reversed. Anything that was created by you can be reversed. There's no such thing as genetic disease. There is no such thing. That's a lie. And that's another story, but I can prove it.
Yeah.
I can back up everything I say scientifically, but it would take too long right now. But the reality is this gentleman, he's completely back. He lost, oh, by the way, he lost 40 pounds and he's
God
completely
bless.
back. So he's going for physiotherapy and they can't believe it. They think this is just revolutionary, historical because he's over 60 years old. He had a terrible stroke. He couldn't even speak. Okay. His whole right side was completely gone and his left side was not functional, but his right side was completely frozen and it was gone. I mean, if people push me, I know that he said that he will actually come on and do a real people, real healing show with me uh, in a while. But the reality is he's back. And when he had the stroke, they told him that he probably was going to have brain damage and that don't expect too much. So the reality is, everyone, is the body's a miracle. That's it. The body is a miracle. I am not the miracle. I have strategies. Everybody can cure anything that they have.
Anything.
I cannot cure anyone. I can give you strategies. And the biggest strategy I'm going to give you is that you've been bullshitted from the
Yep.
moment you got here.
Yeah.
And if you believe anything that medical doctors say, well, shame, shame on you. And God loved them anyway, but understand something. Any profession that, okay, I want everybody to think about this. Why is it that when you go to become a medical doctor, they teach you a language that isn't even spoken today? It's called Latin. Okay,
That's
and
right.
they teach them Latin because they teach them a whole foundation of lies, and then they're going to give all the names of all the diseases that don't exist Latin names. Okay, you know why? Because you're too dumb to heal yourself, to feel yourself, to love yourself, and they're coming from a total lie, so they have to use Latin and then teach these doctors Latin so that you look like you're dumb because they just pulled the biggest scam on the planet called Harvest Humans. Thank you.
Yes. And so it's not just the language, but also just the labels that they give to everything. If anything that happens in the body has been pathologized, including the natural progression of a woman's body towards what we call menopause, that has been pathologized. It's absolutely insane that they actually make something a disease that needs medication or some exogenous hormone from the outside of the body because your body is naturally transitioning. It's insane.
If
But
I can say it's naturally transitioning, but guess what? If a woman, if a woman, and I'll say this right now, and if you have a friend, we'll do this for free. I'll do it for free to prove to you that I'm right. If she did daily cleansing tea to actually help to clean her bowels out and bring down the toxic load, and then do black gold, which restores the good bacteria in her large intestine, which is the holy grail for the pelvis. And if she does vaginal infusion, because did you know a woman's vaginal canal will absorb nutrition 500% greater than the mouth? Okay. And if she did an ultimate coffee enema and purged her liver, I mean, who would drive a car for 40 years and never change the oil or the filter? So if she's willing to do 20 days of an ultimate coffee enema, vaginal infusion every day for 20 days, daily cleansing tea, black gold, she hasn't got one symptom. The reality is when the period starts to slow down for a woman, she's getting rid of the worst toxins every month in her body. So there's loving in the oven. So that when the baby, if the baby comes along, it has the best chance of healing and being vibrantly healthy. So when the period starts to slow down, you're not getting rid of the worst toxins in your body every month. So now, guess what? You just realize that, guess what? Your colon is sluggish and your liver is plugged. So now if we get the cork out of the butt and change the filter, we're right back. We're right back. Remember,
yeah,
you only have those fevers because just like when you get a fever, it's your body trying to boil your blood because you got to cork up your butt. I mean, anybody can bring a fever down within just a few minutes by just doing an ultimate coffee enema, or doing for children, doing an enema with what's called tummy love in it. You can bring a child's fever down in 5 to 10 minutes. You can bring an adult's fever down in 20 minutes. Okay. And that's the whole deal. If the body can't remove the waste, it's got to burn it off.
yeah, that's exactly. I try to tell people about that when I see that they give, especially children, that horrific Tylenol. Oh my
Yeah.
God,
And
they
or
medicate the
Tylenol
kids.
or antibiotics, and none of that was needed.
None of it. I mean, just to be able to bring in all of these toxic chemicals into the body when the body's looking for natural is a crime in and of itself. And for the record, because I wanted to go back to what you said about the gentleman who had the stroke, I actually used a lot of that. So I went on a fruit only diet and I did fasting. And also, like, I wasn't able to speak. I mean, I had like speech aphasia, and that was the part of the brain that was affected by my stroke. And and that's exactly when I got out of the hospital. So I was, while I was in the hospital, of course, they were just drugging me, and I could feel that I was not getting better at all. In fact, I was actually worse. I'm like, I'm not progressing. I was aware enough in my head that I could see that I'm not progressing well. And I also want people to know, those of you, because I know that you said, get him the hell out of there. My friends, when you go into a hospital and you have recycled air, so no fresh air, You don't have access to sunshine. You don't have access to anything that Mother Nature gives you so generously to heal you. And you put yourself in an environment of doom and gloom and you absorb all of that energy. You are not going to heal. And you can't even sleep because there's beeping machines and nurses that just come to check on you every 2 hours and do not let you sleep. So
Well, they're only
clearly,
checking on you to give you your drugs. And the other thing
yes.
is, the worst part about a hospital, you don't go around killing bacteria. You want to go around killing bacteria like that? I mean, it's all about sanitary, right? I mean,
Yep.
we've never been sicker in our life because we have to kill all bad bacteria. And
Yep.
the reality is, if you never focused on bad bacteria and you only focused on having good bacteria, then you wouldn't have bad bacteria. Oh my God. Sometimes I just,
Yeah, I mean, it's, for anybody who does any kind of level of deep critical thinking, because I was talking to my nurse friend last night, you would be able to see so quickly just how wrong they are in the way they approach it. And we were also talking because I wanted to touch on what you said, especially for the ladies in the audience. I have a lot of them that reach out to me with the whole idea of HPV and or atypical cells on the cervix, abnormal or HSIL, CIN, all of the labels that they put on it, related to what they call cervical cancer or ovarian cancer or uterine cancer. So because of what you said, I've tried to say this in all my social media posts. So the vaginal canal as well as the cervix is so absorbed, like it absorbs so much more than anywhere in the body. It's the most absorptive tissue in the body. So when you think of all the products that mainstream has pushed at women, spermicides, feminine washes, tampons made with chemicals and scents and all of that, and women have been inserting these in the most absorptive tissue, so the vaginal canal as well as the cervix, for such a long period of time. But somehow cervical cancer is caused by a virus that is passed on by men to women. However, it just cannot be detected in men.
first of all, we know that's a lie and there's no science behind it. And the reality is I hope everybody really takes this to the bank. There has never been a virus isolated on this planet, whether it's
Thank you.
HIV, COVID, or anything else. It's all just been one big scam.
Thank
And,
you.
you know, people, they don't deserve what they're getting. But my gosh, if you haven't woke up right now, and you know what I tell people right now, I'm here for the people that are awake because I don't think anybody else is going to wake up. If they haven't woke up
No.
through what's been going down on, God love them, but you know what? Their belief systems are holding them prisoner.
Yeah. And I think that you've talked about this, but let's talk about a little bit of the power dynamics in healing. Why do you think that people hand their health over so easily, or their health power, or just their power period so easily? Why is it so hard for people to trust themselves and stay sovereign?
Okay. Are you ready for a 5 minute answer? Is that okay?
Please. Yes, please.
Okay. Well, can we go? We're going to have to go way back. So here's the deal. All right. So we know that the moment we enter the womb, it's all about vibration and frequency. I'm not saying that a fetus understands English or German, but it's
That's
all
right.
about vibration.
That's
And
right.
we do know something that most parents or couples have a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear with pregnancy. And the man has with money and raising things, and there's a vibration there. But here's the deal. Once the baby is born, the baby is in a theta state. The baby is in a trance from 0 to 7. So, whether anybody wants to believe this or not, you need to do your own homework. And because this is already proven, it's not about me, it's about real science. That by the time you're 5 years old, okay, 90% of your personality, okay, is already in lockdown. So, you're in a trance from 0 to 7. Everything your parents do and everything they say and the way they act up for to themselves and each other, the teachers, the preachers, and all the other things that you watch, whether it's TV or whatever you're doing, they're in a trance. Your personality is shaped from 0 to 5 mainly, and by 7, it's done. So the reality is what people don't understand is, okay, so what do parents do? They have unconditional love for the baby. Oh, I could love this baby. It poops on me. It pee on me. It can keep me up all night. It doesn't matter. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. It's even smells heavenly. Once the baby starts to walk and talk, it's walking and talking like the peers that have raised it. And then that baby gets in trouble for acting like the parents or the people that are actually programming the baby. We don't even know it, but we program each other, and we program children because they're in a theta state, they're in a trance. You know, guess what? Unless you go in and you want to crack the coconut from the inside out, you are programmed by the 5 people that mainly were around you, okay, from 0 to 7. And that's it. And whoever you focused on the most is uh, where your attention goes. That's where your belief system grows. And the reality is this: if human beings just went, okay, all right, I woke up to the fact that I am not my authentic personality. You're not your authentic personality unless you have unconditional love for yourself. And if you do something and something goes wrong, that you observe it, don't judge it, and don't put yourself in judgment jail. And that's what we do. I mean, religion does that, government does that, parents do that, teachers do that, preachers do that. Oh my God, I've had enough of. I'll tell you something right now, love. I've had
Doctors do
enough of
that.
that. I've had enough of that crap. Nobody's gonna ever judge my kids or judge me again. And understand this: we are born to judge ourselves. That's why you stroked out. You stroked out because you were judging yourself. So we're
100%.
back to it. So the reality is if you don't want to go to somebody or somewhere and go to brainwash boot camp where you can, and the reality is this: you never focus on the belief systems you don't like, you ignore them. What you do is you find the belief systems that you would love to make your authentic personality. That's what you do. Right now, if I can tell you something, I am only 3 weeks off, and then then it's going to Africa. I've been working on this project for a year and a half. It's called Escape the Matrix. It's going to actually be a movie. I'm going to send it out to
Amazing.
everyone that whoever we have their email, I'm going to be giving it to them in the new year. And I'm just about completed it, but it's called Escape the Matrix. And I'm pulling back the curtain on everything on here. And it is an 8-year old could understand this. And then once people watch the Escape the Matrix, I've got what's called the Braveheart Heroes contract. And what it does, it actually, you recontract with yourself. You recontract with yourself. We got contracts with religion. We got contracts with the government. We got contracts with this entity that lives on this planet that lives off our suffering. And understand something: most of the population, they have to suffer so much every day or they're not alive. And the reality is the majority of the population has never been right. Isn't that something? The majority of the population has never been right. Oh my God. That should be enough to wake you up. So understand, everyone, the subconscious is 90% of your brain. Did you get that? I'm going to say it again. The subconscious is 90% of your brain, and it cannot have critical thinking. The subconscious the subconscious does not work for you. It works for the belief systems that it runs. If I bought a computer and I bring it home and I plug it in, it's not going to do anything. If I put some programs in the computer, it's going to work, but not until then. If I put a contaminated program in it, it's going to work, but it's going to be contaminated. It's going to be wrong. And whether people want to believe this or not, and this is a fact, 70 to 90% of the belief systems that people have are not authentic, and are not based on unconditional love for the host. That be the person the body of that person. That is all been done by Rockefeller schooling, Rothschild schooling, medical system, okay, and people that believe in sin. You're a sinner. You should be punished. And how long should you be punished? Well, probably for life, okay. And the reality is this is trash. All of that is trash. So if you don't want to understand that your subconscious, you've got your conscious, which is 10% of your brain. 10% of your brain. Did you know that the majority of the population are in the present moment 2% of their day? So don't you dare even think that anybody's coming to save you,
Never.
because 2% of the day, for God's sakes, and go do your homework. And that's a scientific fact. And the reality is you don't have to be in the present moment more than 2% of the day. If you went in and cracked the coconut and understood that that's subconscious, okay, guess what? If you're sick, you got sick beliefs. If you are poor, you got poverty beliefs. If you're rich,
Yeah.
you got rich beliefs. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. This is
No,
true.
it's true.
Okay. You need to understand something. Your belief systems make and shape your whole life. They make and shape your health. If you're not healthy, you've got unhealthy beliefs. Your subconscious does not work for you. It works for the belief systems. If you actually went in and took a look at your subconscious and all your prominent dominant belief systems like a menu, what would you do? If you go to a restaurant, do you go in and look at all the things you don't want to eat and make you sick? Guess what people do? All their aches and pains and belief systems, they're like, if they have fear, they focus on it all the time. If I go to a restaurant and I went to a buffet, I'm only going to eat what I like, what makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is focus on what makes you feel good. Focus on what makes you feel loved and respected and not and honored. And you got to do that first and foremost. And guess what? The majority of the population is never going to do it. And you know
Yeah.
what? I want you to prove me wrong. We can't even get the minority of the population to have unconditional love for itself. So until you're willing to go in and crack the coconut, the subconscious, take a look at the belief systems, go, I'm not going to focus on those beliefs. Those beliefs are bullshit. And I'm sorry, everyone, that I use that word, but you need to use that word sometimes, because you've
Yeah.
got belief systems that you're unworthy, that you're not lovable. Who would love you? Who would care for you? You know what? I'm not smart enough to have a great life. And you know what? This has all been programmed into you by your beautiful parents that didn't know better, the preachers,
Yep.
the teachers, but it all came from these entities called these 13 families. And if you don't believe me, that's okay. But the reality is, you better believe this: until you think differently, you'll never have a different life. And I love this. Okay, I want a different life. I hate change. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? There in the next, okay, by April or May, okay, you're going to find out that the people you thought were your leaders weren't leaders. They were Trojan horses. And you're going to find out that they are going to flip switch the whole world. And then we're going to be going into a huge world change that we haven't seen in hundreds of years.
And
So
the
you know
change
what?
has already become. Yeah.
Yep. So you're either gonna guess what? Three, two, one. I got this, Braveheart. This is me snapping myself to the present moment. Get back into the present moment, Darrell. This is me kissing myself. This band is called a Braveheart Love Band. It's as snug as a hug. This is how I saved my butt 30 years ago. I put my daughter's hairband on here and I said, I'm going to snap this thing 30 times an hour, okay, to snap myself to the present moment, because I'm going to change right now. I said to myself, I'm not going to live on this planet like this. I'm going to rock my world. I'm going to stand in my power. And guess what? There's a God spot in everybody's heart, and you better light that thing up. And then guess what? Then you go back and reprogram that computer to belief systems that love, honor, and respect you.
Absolutely. And I wanted to touch on something because you talked about the families, and just so that people can connect the dots. So I don't know, when I was back in university, I did a course in linguistics. And many times I would think, I'm like, why are words the way they are? And, we learned phonetics and all of that. Did you know that one of the families is the Medici families? The reason why medicine is called medicine is because of that family, because the word Medici, the way that it's spelled, because it's an Italian name, of course, the pronunciation medicine, the C and I, is pronounced differently. But the Medici family, the reason why we call it medicine is because of that family. So that alone should show you, is it real medicine? Because the herbs and the foods and everything that's got medicinal properties in it come from nature. They don't have a name per se, but there was a family that decided that, okay, we're going to call this, and it's going to be this, and we're going to be the guide of in what direction it's going to go and what names we're going to apply. And of course, Italian, Latin language put in the, medical field. So I just want people to connect the dots. But I did want to go back because you talk a lot about self-love as a biological phenomenon, even a biochemical phenomenon. Can you tell people what happens inside the body, even at cellular level, when someone continuously abandons themselves? How does disease eventually express when you constantly just give yourself up and abandon?
Okay. I'll give you the chemistry of it. And can I tie what they call cancer into it too? Is that
Oh,
okay?
I would love that. Yes, please.
Okay. It won't take too long. But this one here, they can't punch a hole in this one. First of all, there is no such thing called cancer. The C in cancer stands for conflict, contamination, and
Hmm.
corruption. And that's what you've been made into, what I've been made into, we've all been made into.
Yes.
And when you take the C away, you're left with ANSER, which is answer. So take the C away. That's the first thing. But the reality is the only person, and whether we're talking about cancer or we're talking about fibromyalgia or everything from A to Z, I want everybody to understand this same platform is for everything. It's for everything from a pimple to a tumor. Okay. All right. And just remember something. Here we go. So understand this. We are light energy, electrical, magnetic beings. Is that what we were before we created this physical host vehicle that we have here called our body, 50 trillion cells, 500 trillion bacteria? Yes. So we know everything is electrical. So I want to ask everybody a question. So, how much electricity runs in a body that just passed on? Somebody just passed on. Zero. How much electricity is in a body of someone that is in critical illness? I can tell you it's called 20%. It's around 20% of electrical. I mean, real electricity. How much electricity is in somebody that has just a chronic health problem? Okay. We're talking about around 50 to 60%. How much electricity is in a person that is vitally healthy, like young children or people that know what the heck they're doing to bring up their electrical conductivity? Well, anywhere from 80 to 100%. I mean, you're going to tell me that I have less than 80% of electrical conductivity? I mean, let me tell you something right now. What I did in this last year, most people don't do in 5 years. And the reality, if you can't unconditionally love and care and respect and honor yourself, then you are always going to be struggling to have electrical conductivity. Now, here we go. Every cell in the human body has zero point zero 0.04 volts. That's a fact. That's a scientific fact. So there's 50 trillion cells. So there's 2 trillion volts in a healthy human body. Everybody get this. It's really important that you get that sink into your head. It's all about electricity. Electricity runs everything. It runs our cells. That's
So
why we're
true.
light beings. Now, I'm going to add one little thing here just so you know this. Eating is one of the lowest forms of trying to get energy. Okay. And because there's only one food group, and the one food group is this, it's called high vibrational. So when you look at any food, you ask yourself, is this a high vibrational food? How much light, how much electricity is it going to be holding inside of it? So use your common sense. I don't want to get into this or we'll never get through this. Now, so a zero point 0.4 volts is what we start off with. Does anybody understand that okay, when somebody um, is in a bad mood, what are they going to do? They're going to disrespect themselves first, and then they disrespect you. When someone disrespects you, you take it personal. Oh my God, you do. You know you do. Because
Yeah.
guess what? Until you fill up your own heart with love, I'm going to get to your answer here. When you fill up your own heart with love, and you don't need love from others, you're going to shine your love on other people. Okay. Guess what? You're not going to play love ransom anymore. if you are looking for other people to love you and fill up your heart. Now, listen, everyone, I want you to do this. I can't take the time now, but I do this when I teach my whole life health certified course. I do this with everyone. I want everybody to tell me, okay, who do you love and what do you love? Do you have love the dog, the cat, your mother, your brother, your sister, your children? Now, everybody write down how much you love each person, how much they fill up your heart. And most people, they don't even put themselves on the paper. They're not even
That's
on the
right.
paper. They're not even on the paper. So understand, does everybody understand that the heart is the emotional organ and it actually stores everything from your fears to your traumas to your celebrations. That's right. Does everybody know that you can talk to somebody who just had a heart attack? And that person had a heart attack might even be eating organic. That person who had a heart attack was eating garbage food, and so was the rest of the family. But that person over there is emotional. And guess what? They take things too serious with love. They count on the family to love them. I'm getting there, guys. I really am. The reality is this is everything is electrical conductivity and love is an ingredient. It's what you do with it. Unconditional love has the highest vibration on planet Earth. Okay, are you getting this? And we can wrap that up with what's called gratitude. You can't have gratitude if you just are looking for love from people. It's very hard to do that. You will live in gratitude with unconditional love. Do your homework. That's all I ask. So now, every time that you are disappointed that you didn't get your love from somebody who's supposed to be like a gas tank and fill you up part of your heart every day, guess what? Your vibration comes down, your energy comes down, you get depressed, okay, you get sad, you feel like they don't love you anymore. Oh my God. This is why 70% of all marriages end in divorce because we don't come in loving ourselves before we love another. I love you. I love you too. You fill me. Oh, you fill me too. That lasts for a year or two.
You
And then guess what?
complete
Then you
me.
got to get, yeah, you complete me. Okay. So here's the deal. Are you ready? Now, here's the timeline. First of all, before I start this, let's just let this be known that it's not even about cancer because cancer doesn't exist, but it's actually different levels of electrical conductivity and oxygen. Well, who was the only person that ever received the Nobel Prize for discovering the cause of cancer? Dr. Otto Warburg. Why? Why did he get it? He got it because it was discovered that when your cells, okay, become deficient by 35% of
Of
oxygen, they
oxygen.
become deficient by 35% of electrical conductivity. They
That's
go
right.
together. So when the oxygen comes down by 35% in the cell, so does the electrical conductivity. And you know what the cell says? I can't survive. I can't survive on this little of oxygen. I need more. So if a cell is 35% deficient of oxygen by 35% for 3 days or more, then the cell goes into survival mode. And the cell goes, I can't live on just this much. So what does it say? It says,
It's
oh my gosh, take a look. We're gonna live. We're gonna live. We're gonna survive. How? On fermented sugar
it's
and
gonna look for
lactic
another
acid.
source. Yeah.
Because when that drops down that far, you're full of fermented sugar and lactic acid. And a lot of people show that they have high sugar levels. And you know what? They didn't even take any sugar in that day. Anxiety will actually come across as looking like you've got high sugar levels. And guess what? People are actually off of sugar and they're not even doing sugar and they can go and get tested by a doctor and they'll say you're pre-diabetic or you have adult onset diabetes and they don't because anxiety shows up like sugar problem and now you're a diabetic. Anyway, that's another story. Get back to this, Daryl.
True.
So now what happens here is when, oh, you ready? When your actual oxygen drops down, okay, by 15%. Did you get that? When your oxygen and your electrical conductivity drop down by 15%. What happens, everyone? Come on, you know this. You have pain. When it drops down by 15%, your cell goes into inflammation. And when it goes into inflammation, this God-given gift called pain gets turned on. And pain is to tell us that we are not getting enough oxygen, electrical conductivity because of our psychological and biological decisions. Biological being what we eat, and psychological what we think. And think comes before eat. So what you think, you become. And what you think is what your choices are. And most of you aren't even thinking. You just are robotic, and you just put things in your mouth, and you don't even ask yourself, will this bring up my oxygen? Will this bring up my electrical conductivity? Will this bring up me being a light being? So when it goes down by 15%, you get pain, inflammation, swelling, okay, and stiffness. They all come. And these are all just love messages from your body going, what the heck are you doing? Get yourself back in alignment. Love, honor, and respect yourself on all levels here. But we don't even know how to do it. We weren't taught. We can go all the way through high school, university, medical school.
I'd like to take a quick break now to let you know that today's show is sponsored by my book, Against Medical Advice. This book is a memoir, and it tells the story of how I built my life back after suffering a stroke during my divorce. I discuss the nutritional, lifestyle, and mindset aspects that I put into practice to regain my health and rebuild my life. The book has been a labor of love, both writing it and publishing it, and I couldn't be more proud of it. Please pick up your copy from Amazon. For your very own signed copy, my email address is simone@simonegisondi.com. Oh, and I'd really appreciate it if you'd please consider leaving a review once you've read the book. And now, back to the show.
Medical school and not know anything about health. Oh my God, what a crazy world. So now, if that drops down, are you ready for this? If it drops down to 25%, guess what, everyone? Everybody thinks that you get parasites through your food. Okay, I'll tell you right now, 95% of all parasites are actually created from the invisible in your body. Parasites are created in the body when your tissue starts decomposing. Thank you very much. When your levels drop down to 15%, you get inflammation, you get swelling, you get redness, you get pain. Well, guess what? If that continues, the tissue starts to decompose. You know what that means, don't you? Rot out. Rot out. Hey, if something got killed along the highway, what happens if it's not winter? What happens within a day? It's full of worms. It's full of bad bacteria and fungus.
Maggots.
They all come to the parasite party. So you know what? A person that is low vibrational and thinks that they don't have any value will always be full of worms, always be full of bacteria, and always be full of fungus. Thank you very much. Now, when you drop down to 25% in that oxygen electrical conductivity, now you got parasites. And then if that drops down to 35%, guess what? The cell no longer can function like a normal cell, so it's got to convert. And I already told you, it goes to the fermented sugar and it goes to the lactic acid. And anybody that drops in that much electrical conductivity and that much oxygen is a pool of lactic acid and fermented sugar. There you go.
Thank you so much for that explanation. And I could connect so many things that you said because I try to explain to people, much like what you said about, I'll touch on this one, what you said about, the roadkill out, on the side of the highway on a hot summer day. I try to explain to people, I said, if you don't eliminate, imagine the core temperature of your body is about 98% Fahrenheit, give or take, about 35, 36 degrees, not percent, but degrees centigrade, Celsius. So imagine if you have food sitting at that temperature. It's like, imagine if you put a piece of meat outside on a hot summer day when it's 36 degrees or 98 degrees outside. What's going to happen? It's going to start to rot. It's going to start to smell. And you are going to see the maggots. You're going to see the flies. You're going to see, well, what do you think happens inside of you if you don't clean yourself, if you don't have the cleansing mechanisms working or the cleansing foods, which are obviously your fruits and even some of your vegetables, and the hydration to be able to maintain all systems running properly. Exactly that.
Wherever there's disease, wherever there's disease, that tissue is actually rotting. So just know this, everyone.
Yeah.
Whatever disease that they say you have, you don't have. There are no diseases. They say there's 2,200 diseases because there's going to be 2,200 prescription drugs. That's all. There isn't. There's just infection, on a psychological, biological level that creates inflammation on a mental and biological level because the mental controls the physical, the psychological controls the
So true.
biological, and we know that.
So true. And it's I really wanted you to talk about the whole idea of how helpful it is to have self-love and to have positive thoughts, and that the reason why they've gone so hard on trying to program our subconscious is because they know that that's the only way that they can get us.
You
But
know,
I did want to talk about detox. You being the doc of detox, I believe that I really think that people need to understand the detox or die. Like that needs to be explained. So they hear the phrase detox or die and assume extremes because a lot of people think detox. I remember when I first got on the bandwagon of detox, people thought that, and my kids bought me a license plate, and my license plate has detox on it, and people said, "Oh, so you help people sort of quit drugs?" And I said, no, actually, you detox the body from the inside out so that you can attain health. It has nothing to do with drugs. But yes, you also have to eliminate the drugs as part of the detox. But it goes beyond that. So I want people to understand what detox or die means so that they understand that, yes, eventually the body will give up on you if you don't detoxify properly. Can you explain that?
okay, I don't know if it'll be the way you want, but first of all, if I can say something, um, if you were to go back, and you only have to go back even just 100 years to 120 years, when people would actually do an enema, when they would actually do a water fast or a
Mm-hmm.
juice fast,
Mm-hmm.
they were doing it to actually clear out organic, sluggish waste. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Today, come on, everyone. Between the chemtrails, we can't even get the fluoride out and the chlorine out of the bloody tap water.
Water.
You know,
Yeah.
all processed food has graphene in it and glyphosate and tons of chemicals and poisons. I mean, we're so far off the marker. I mean, everybody goes, RFK is going to get, cane sugar into Coke. Is that the big win of the day? The reality is that we're being poisoned on all levels because
Yeah.
can I go off track just for a second?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, the reason why detox is so big right now is because it's not about that. It's about transhumanism. They want to get rid of human beings. They don't need human beings on the planet anymore. And so people don't want to wake up to that fact because it's just too shocking. And it's a bloody horror story to think that we're actually being eliminated. And we are. We're being eliminated on purpose. Now, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave it alone. But understand something, everyone. If I can use this analogy, and please don't get upset with me, but you know, uh, if you read the Bible, Christ would actually do a 40-day fast. That's not because Jesus was overweight or he was a heavy duty partier and he had to detox. It was to bring up the vibratory level, to bring up the electrical level, so that he could connect uh, closer to the creator, to his father, whatever. But that's really the deal. I mean, if everybody knew today, you can't do water fast. You have to do what's called advanced water fast because if you do a water fast, you're going to detoxify so fast. I've been doing water fasting since I was, and actually running through people through programs since I was 25 years old. And by the time I was 35, we had to stop doing water fasts and we started using high vibrational nutraceuticals and doing the ultimate coffee enema and doing vaginal infusions for women. Because if you did a water fast, you allow things to release so fast from the body that the body cannot hold it because the body creates fat cells just to store inflammation and infection, cellulite for the same reason, scar tissue,
Yeah.
fibroids, tumors, cysts,
Yeah.
all of these storage tanks are that way. And today we are 10,000 times more toxic than we were just even 100 years ago. And the
Yes.
reality is That's why our body's storing all this. But if you're going to release it through a detox, okay, you got to make sure that you're going to grab the toxins as they're released, lock them down as they come out of the body, or you will damage the body. So when I was even in my early 30s, and we were doing advanced water fast, people were getting rid of their symptoms and healing, but then it would take them 3 to 4 months to get their energy back. And that's because people, even back when I was 35, were malnourished and toxic. You see, you're not just toxic, you're malnourished. My God, if you were just toxic, but you're not even getting your nourishment, well, we already know that only 1% of the food in the United States of America in a supermarket, this is not me, this is actually research. 1% of the food in a supermarket is worthy to be eaten. My God. Does everybody get this? And guess what? The person's going to hear me say this, and they're going to go out grocery shopping to the supermarket this afternoon and fill up the cart with food that's toxic and empty of nutrients. So we're not just toxic. What we've done is our body's a Visa card, and we've went out and we've used this Visa card every day, every day, every day, but we haven't put any money back on it. So now the bank's trying to take it on us and want to cut it up. So in the cutting up is the diseases, because it's all about malnourishment. Guys, trace minerals, fatty acids, amino acids. Those are the first three most important thing, and we're just not getting them. So the reality is this, if I can say this, everyone, I'm called the Doc of Detox. That's kind of a misnomer. I called myself that, but the reality is because if I said I was the doc of the perfect day, people would never come to me.
Yeah.
We need to stop detoxifying, and we need to create a perfect day on an emotional, physical, and nutritional level.
Yes. Yes.
And if you live in a city, it is absolutely impossible to do it. Impossible. You will always be trying to buy things to fake nature. And we have been denatured. And that's why people say to me, why did you move away? Why, I'm only part-time in Florida now. Why did you move down to Mexico? Well, because I don't have to buy organic. I can buy pure food that's grown in volcanic soil. I mean, if you taste the melon, if you taste the watermelon, the cantaloupe, or you taste the veggies down here, I mean, it is just a celebration in your mouth. Uh,
Yes.
and I'm paying 20% of what you pay for poisonous food. So understand, you are always going to have to detox and spend tons of money, and you're still not going to feel good if you don't turn off the Wi-Fi at night. If you don't, what do you know what we do? We turn off all the electricity, okay? And if we don't do it through the whole house, we do it on the top floor where the bedrooms are. Everybody should be turning off all the electrical in the walls of the bedroom you sleep in. The dirty electricity is killing you. The Wi-Fi is killing you. If you have that on, there's nothing we can do for you. You're
Yeah.
radiating yourself. And the reality is this. Yeah, we need the detox, everyone. Because if our colon gets sluggish, like people say, oh, I go to the bathroom. Hey, it's not what comes out, it's what stays in. And understand this. Your liver has to be purged. Your colon has to be purged. You do your liver and your colon, you're going to really protect the rest of the body. If I can say something, I created this here. This is called the Perfect Day Guide. That's free. Go to pdgfree.com. Everything's in here. Everything's in. Everything that I can do to help somebody, and it's free to everybody. But I'm going to tell you, everyone, there's only one water in the world that actually gets rid of blue light poisoning and EMF, and it's called structured water. Rainwater,
Yes.
structured water. That's why when rainwater comes down, it still detoxifies, even though Billy's been spewing his chemicals up there, the chemtrails and the heavy metals have been in there for 50 years already. But when that comes down, why is it that the birds, the bees, the flowers, the trees, the microorganisms, they jump up for joy, and the crops still grow as good as they did 500 years ago? Because it's structured water. So structured water is really healing. So look that up, do your homework. But everybody, you need to drink 3/4 of an ounce for every body pound now. It used to be a half an ounce, but you've got to do more. Why do you got to do more? And why do you got to do structured? Because of all the blue light and the Wi-Fi. If you've noticed, I've been wearing glasses the whole time. I'm not going to take my glasses off in front of blue light. Blue light um, creates more free radicals than 5G or any other poisons. That's why I hope everybody knows that an optometrist is not a health practitioner. I hope you know that they're actually crippling everybody's eyes. That's what they're doing. Anyways, thank you very much.
It's
But the
part of the
reality
medical
is
community, of
the
course.
cataracts, the glaucomas, the detached retinas, the floaters, the burning eyes, the dry eyes, um, all of this. Understand something. The blue light is damaging your brain and your eyes, especially when it comes to cataracts, are creating calcium and fibrin and putting a coating in front of your eyes to slow down the blue light. These are called Tesla glasses. These are the only glasses, they're called Tesla Hyperlightwear. They're the only glasses in the world that actually take blue light. And did you know that my brain's being healed and I'm getting C60 this whole time? And if you use blue light glasses, you're not protecting yourself. So, everybody, the world of health is going to sell you things that don't work. Filter your water, get an ozonator, um, buy something expensive. You can get a structured water unit that's inexpensive and you never have to replace it and you can put it under any tap in the world. It's all about frequency and it's always been that way. So detox, yes. We need to detox so much, but guess what? But what we put in our mouth and what we put in our mind becomes the landmine. Thank you.
So true. I mean, oh my God, I could touch on so many things there. But let's talk about just strictly the food because you were talking about how people when they go to the grocery store, because a lot of people believe, and I go out of my way. I even tell people in my family, I'm like, man, cookies are not food. Chips are not food. The only thing that qualifies as real food per se is what Mother Nature makes. Like a sweet potato is food, like
It can't be
broccoli is
wrapped by
food.
man. It has to be
That's
wrapped
right.
by nature.
That's right. And people don't get this. They think that because they eat pasta with sauce on top of it, it's food. I'm like, no, that's a food like product. It's a product. It's
Pasta,
a
there's no
man.
such thing as a good pasta. There's not
Yes,
one. I don't care what you say.
I agree.
Spelt or, you make up all the, tell me there's no such thing as a good pasta. But there is a better pasta. Like if you go to Europe, you're going to eat a pasta and it's not going to bloat you and it's not going to
Yes.
rip your guts apart. Like you remember something, okay, my friends and family in the United States, I just tell them all, figure it out. Get out of there. Get out of there. Because I'm telling you, and this is the shame part. I hope you know this. So, the most powerful country in the world is being poisoned more than any other country in the world. Did you know that right now that Americans eat 60% of all prescription drugs made in the world?
Why the hell would the most powerful country in the world try to poison and kill its own people? Don't they want to
I can tell
continue?
you. Do you want to know?
I would love to know.
Oh, do you really? Do you really?
I would love
Okay.
for the audience to know too.
Well, cash is going to go. There will be no cash.
Yeah.
Whether you believe it or not, you can believe everything you hear, but Trump knows that United States was not going to be the most powerful country in the world anymore.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
you know, so you need to get that. And how do you hand over the most powerful country in the world to another country? And I'm not even going to tell you what the other country is going to be because people are just going to be upset with me. But the reality is this is how do you do that? You break the people. Well, answer this. Why would they be poisoning my friends and my family? That's why I got out of there. Why would they be poisoning them so hardcore? Why is it that everything that we're seeing in our food, in our water, in our drinks, and everything there. And then you go to other places in the world, they don't do it. They banned it, and nothing's banned. I mean, RFK is going to do all this stuff for me. Please, enough, just enough. Okay. United States is in really, really big trouble, but it is, how can I say this? It is an intentional demolition. It's an intentional demolition. Listen to me, everyone. And if I can, do you mind if I go off track just 2 seconds?
Sure.
I've probably been off track more than that. The reality is, everybody, is guess what? Don't be saving your money in the bank. If you want to detox and you don't want to be totally destroyed, you got to detox your money. You got to take a look at silver. You got to take a look at gold. It's not too late. And you got to look at, oh boy, you may not like this. If you want to cut it out, cut it out. You want to look at things like XRP. XRP is going to run the financial rails. I hope you know that everybody, we're all going to wake up and we're not even be able to get any cash out of the bank. And then we're going to have to bring all our cash back into the bank. And United States is going to go digital. And if you don't believe me, I believe that within a year and a half to 2 years, the United States is going to look just like China. So what do we need to detox from? We need to detox from this government. We need to really ask ourselves what type of life we really want. And they're pushing it down everybody's throat. You see it, don't you?
Yeah, and I think that people need to understand because historically we've been able to see how much stress people had financially. I mean, that's one of the main stressors, of course, death of a loved one, divorce, betrayal, yada yada, including financial. So the repercussions, so the ripple effect of the financial aspect of it, much to what
Can I
what
give
you
you a
just said,
stat? Can I give you a real stat?
please.
If you had $1 million 1 year ago in the bank, it's worth 500,000. If you have 500,000 in the bank right now, in a year from now, it's going to be worth about 50,000 or maybe even 25,000. That's it.
That's a huge,
That's it.
huge drop.
That's it. You have to understand that this is intentional,
Yeah.
okay? And if you really want to know this, that's why they need wars right now. Okay, they need wars to pump money in. And what's happening is who gets all that money? The people that build the bombs and all the other stuff. And the Fed is going to cut the rates. That's going to be big trouble. And then they're going to print a ton of money here coming just real short. And guess who gets it? Everybody at the top, not at the bottom. Okay. And that's going to cause even more inflation. And understand there's no coming back from this one.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've
It's a
got an
turning point.
agenda.
Yeah, it's a turning point.
Yeah.
And the emotional impact that it's going to have, because I know that a lot of people talk about trauma, so there's a big push right now towards trauma therapy, and it's true because we all come from trauma, much like what you said, that our parents just didn't know how to teach us to love ourselves, and
They
even
did
their
their
own.
best.
Yeah, they did their best, and even their own love was very conditional because that's what they too learned from their parents and their parents' parents and so on and so forth. So the idea of the trauma that has become embedded in our tissues, and then whenever I tell people, because a lot of people feel like it's such a stigma to say, no, like my parents didn't beat me or whatnot. But I say, okay, let's put that aside. Don't you think that what happened in 2020 and thereafter, and I've heard horrific stories from the people in the medical world that I'm close with, even with vaccinations and all of that. I said, don't you think that was like that traumatized us? Like, do you know how long it's going to take us to be able to eliminate that trauma from our tissues if we don't take action right now? And they're continuing to traumatize us.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Here's the problem. Remember what I said about Freud? He,
Ah,
he was
yes.
just a toxic pedophile.
Yeah.
And the reality is we're still working from that. Everybody goes to a whole life coach right now and talks about their trauma. You don't talk about the trauma. You talk about what you want in your life. You've got to let things go. And the reality is, if you can't make your past into a Braveheart hero story, then you made it into a horror story.
Yeah.
The reality is, the past does not matter. What can you learn from the past? And if you can't forgive somebody from the past, then you've got to let them go. And
You
then you've
do.
got to find a place called neutral. And
Yeah.
then because you're screwing up every present moment. The only thing we live is this is the only thing that exists. Oh, wait a
Hmm.
minute. 2 seconds ago, that doesn't exist anymore.
Two
And I'm
seconds
never
ago
going
is
to
the
have a
past.
brilliant future unless I am the master of the moment. The only place you can create something different is in the moment. The only thing that you can experience is the moment. So why am I going to go dumpster diving into some garbage and drag it into my present and just ruin it? It was called a present, but that present is ruined now. And the reality is this: people are toxic, people are out of balance. My relatives and friends and family, they're still out of balance. And
Yeah.
you know what? I got to mind my own business. And what is that? To stay in the present moment, to go inside myself and find that God spot in my heart and connect to that and light it up and light my whole heart up and fill it with love and just love the moment. Like, look what people focus on. You know what? If people never read headlines again and never looked at the news again, okay, they would get the life that they wanted. And if they would just look at cycles, everything is a cycle, whether it doesn't matter what you're talking about. And the reality is the majority of the population watch the news, so they believe in climate change that doesn't exist. Okay,
Of
they
course.
believe in COVID that doesn't exist. The next thing is SPARS, and that's coming. And everybody's going to eat a ton of garbage here. They're going to do the alcohol, overeat, too much sugar. They're going to be hanging out with family members they don't really care for. They're going to stress out, trying to do the best they can, burn
Yeah.
themselves out. Then,
Yeah.
then we're going to have 80% of the population with a cold and a flu because that's just the body's natural detox. And then we're going to
That's right.
call it some life-threatening illness. And then we're all going to line up and go get our free donut.
Alongside some injectable cocktail that is going to magically heal us.
Yeah.
So, then in that regard, what do you believe the next decade of healing will require from humanity?
What do I believe that the next decade of healing will be?
Will require from us to do so that we can actually truly heal?
Well, I'll tell
What's
you,
the
and
future of health?
well, I can tell you that. Oh, I don't know if I want to tell you all that. Jeez. Well, I think that the people that are awake are going to be here still. The rest are going to be cyborgs or they left because they rotted out. Okay. And it's not their fault. They just weren't emotionally, they never became masters of their minds. But the reality is this, I'm telling you right now, and please tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I don't care who you're talking about. Well, the medical system, I don't have any respect for them and I don't hate them. But even the natural health system is too superficial.
Yes,
I'm
I
going to
agree
tell
with
you
you.
that right now. Naturopathic doctors, functional medicine doctors. This is not a pitch for me because I'm not looking for more patients, guys. I'm looking for people that want to take massive personal action. I'm not looking for people that want to turn the burner down. They want to turn the burner off. So
Yeah.
understand that. And I want to make this really clear to everyone because people think because I talk so boldly um, um, I couldn't retire. I could have retired 15 years ago. So the reality is I don't retire because this is my passion to help those people that are awake. But the reality is this is, I mean, seriously, how many women do vaginal infusions? How many do ultimate coffee enema? How many people actually know how to create a perfect day from the moment they rise till they close their eyes for their patients on an emotional, physical, and nutritional level? Well, that's what we teach. And if you're not, and if you have patients and you're not teaching them to become their own practitioners, then you're the problem. Okay. If you're trying to help them manage their pain, you're the problem. You want them to learn that pain is not the enemy. Pain is a signal of a love from your body telling you you're out of alignment. Look,
Yeah.
I'm going to say something, and please, I'm not looking for people to come to me. Don't come to me unless you really want to come to me because of the things you heard and you want to become the master of your life. That's it. But I'm telling you right now, okay, that people have to be given back their power. They won't take their power back. So we got to give it back to them. But people don't want to take their power back because they don't even know they lost it. They don't know how powerful they really are. They don't know that the body's a self-healing machine and nothing's changed over 100 years except for the story that they tell. And the reality is this. I do consultations and this is not a pitch. I do consultations. I charge $350 and for my background and for what I know. But when I charge $350, I give them lifetime support. Lifetime. They can call me as often as they want, as often. And I call everybody back. And believe it or not, I do it. And the reality is, even our treatments and everything we do, we offer a money back guarantee that when you come to us for the first time, we're going to show you that we can do more in the first treatment than everything else you've ever done. Because when you get person to understand a different point of view. Listen, all suffering in the body is first infection from an emotional or physical standpoint.
Always.
And all of that becomes a physical block called calcium or scar tissue. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking anything in the body. I don't care. Any doctor want to come on, any functional medicine doctor, anybody want to come on and challenge me? Come on. They can call me 469-861-8884, WhatsApp, USA Direct. We'll go live. The
I
reality is
wish that could be the case.
every block from a pimple to a tumor, it's all about calcification, scar tissue formation, created from inflammation that was created from infection, nothing else. There are no other diseases. Now, when somebody comes to me with a label, okay, I know where it is. That's all it's good for because it doesn't actually exist. What exists is just the infection, inflammation, calcification, scar tissue formation. That's why grandpa walks like a stiff board.
Yeah.
What do you think they call old age? Scar tissue and calcification. The calcium's been pulled from the bones and now you're calcified in your joints and your tissues. And then the scar tissue is the missing of the electrical conductivity, oxygen, and now you're inflamed. And a flame will actually, if I put a burger on a barbecue and I forget about it, it's going to be a piece of beef jerky.
Yeah.
I'll give you one little thing. Two things. First of all, there's no gum disease, it's bum disease. You're rotting, you've got your own manure pile down there. The bad bacteria are giving off gas. It's going all the way through your intestine. Your mouth is the front door, your anus is the back door. There's no gum disease, it's bum disease. Why do you think people go and get their teeth cleaned? Because that plaque is actually from food they ate weeks ago, months ago, years ago, rotting in their bowels. It had nothing to do with what they ate today. People don't get this. Just like a person says, I've lost 2 inches. And the doctor goes, well, you're losing bone calcium. What that is called the most moronic thing he could say. You've got discs in between your spine, and because of infection caused from a leaky gut, your large intestine, you're getting infection in your body, inflammation, you get dehydration. So the cartilage that's in between your
The
vertebrae,
vertebrae.
they get dehydrated, and that's why you lost inches. When we do cell sonic regeneration in Wolf non-surgical, and somebody lost 2 inches, the first treatment will bring back 1 inch. They are now inch taller with their height. Do you understand? So everything is a scam. Everything is a lie. And guess what? All we're doing out there is turning the burner down a little bit for people. But guess what? And people are okay with that. Why? Because the majority of the population has always been wrong because they've been taught wrong.
And they want to be comfortable. I think that they've gotten used to their habits and their comfort, and they want the system and
They're
what,
exhausted and they're tired
yeah.
of suffering.
And they want that to bend to the comfort that they expect healing to be. And I don't think that they
Yeah.
understand that nature just does not bend. It requires you to do the radical healing. And that means that you have to step into checking in with your emotions to say, do I love myself? No. Okay, I need to start. I need to take my power back. Such small little steps that can be executed on daily. And I do want to touch on that. But before we go there, Darrell, I want you to tell the women, because they're probably going to say, what exactly is vaginal, the infusion? Like, what's a vaginal infusion and because an enema is an enema, but you have a specific type of enema, I'm assuming, when you talk about.
Well, when if we were to just do a regular enema, which would be using like green coffee beans
That's
ground,
right.
and then we were to use just water, okay, what's going to happen is when we go into after we brew that, make that coffee, just so everybody knows, you have what's called the portal vein. It's only 2 to 3 inches inside the rectum.
Yeah.
That's how far you have to get, and it'll
Yeah.
pick that up and take it to the liver. But the problem is everybody knows about glyphosate. Everybody knows about antibiotics. Everybody knows about stagnation. But the problem is that we get what's called tight junctions. We have tight junctions in our intestines, and in our large intestine, we're only one cell thick. And what happens is those tight junctions get ripped open through antibiotics, glyphosate, and all the processed foods, sugar, all the
Yeah.
stuff that causes inflammation. Inflammation causes the tearing. So when those tight junctions rip open, they're like Velcro, okay? And when they get ripped open, you start getting fecal waste going into your bloodstream. You get trapped protein particles, you get heavy metals, you get parasites, you get fungus, okay? Everything will start leaking in. When that happens, okay, all right. Your body, okay, because of what was supposed to not go in your body, went into your body. And now it was supposed to be dumped in the toilet. Thank you very much. So now that's going into the bloodstream. And what has to take over first? The liver. Okay. And when the liver gets all of this poison brought into that, so I told you earlier that's called chronic fatigue, and then fibromyalgia, and then we get an inflamed liver, we get a fatty liver, we get liver cirrhosis. We can keep going with it. Remember something: it's all the same illness, and we just give it many different names all the way through. Just like eczema is actually psoriasis, eczema. Eczema is the beginning of it, and psoriasis is that person never got treated properly, and the
Yeah.
scab's just thicker. Thank you very much. So now what happens is that if you just used the regular green coffee to actually trigger the liver to start dumping into the colon, what's going to happen because everybody has leaky gut? Well, now that waste is going to go back into the bloodstream, and the body has been trying to store that and lock it down to protect you. But now you're going to let it go back into your bloodstream. And guess what? Do you know what that happens? Okay, here, the leaky gut, you just intensified it. You intensified it. Now you've went and put it back into your bloodstream. And what happens, everyone? Do you know where all leaky brain comes from? Leaky gut,
Like
leaky
that.
large intestine. All leaky brain comes from leaky large intestine. Alzheimer's, dementia, anxiety, depression, ADHD, ADD, MS, Parkinson's, Lou Gehrig's. How am I doing? All of these come from that. And do your research before you poo poo on me. Now, so what we do is we add black gold to it. We're the only company in the world to take humic fulvic and make it without using chemicals. Humic fulvic will actually hold 400% of its weight in heavy metals, bad bacteria, parasites, chemicals, okay, any waste product. And when it does is it locks it down right away so you don't have to experience it, and it brings the waste out. But the black gold, humic fulvic, it also restores the good bacteria in the large intestine, which is the holy grail of healing. So now, when I go to dump from the liver because I put black gold into the coffee, made it into the coffee enema, it's going to suck it, lock it down, bring it out, so it doesn't go back in the body. The vaginal infusion is where we use our nutraceuticals, like things like our Beyond Ormus minerals. And our Beyond Ormus minerals are the highest electrical conductivity of any trace mineral on the planet. And we can prove it with third-party study. So we use that. We use what's called silver bullet gel, which is a micronic silver in a gel form. We also use what's called Miracle Molecule C60, which is 275 times stronger than vitamin C. And it also, you know, the graphene that was in the injection for the COVID? Well, this has graphene in it, but guess what it does? It actually pulls out the COVID graphene. Okay, did you know that? That's right. It
Mhm.
magnetizes to it and pulls it out of the body. All right. And I can actually prove this. So, but it doesn't just do that. It's 275 times stronger than vitamin C. So, you know, the healing ability of it. Okay. And then we also use a product that is called Bright Eyes Fulvic. And before we ever even put the vaginal infusion into the vaginal canal, we use a product called Infinite Iodine. We have the only pure oral vaccine on the planet called Infinite Iodine. We have the only iodine that is pure, and it has no toxic side effects. Like you can only do a little bit of Lugos or Nacean iodine, or you'll blow your thyroid. Our iodine, people that have stage 4 inflammation, they call it cancer, are taking 1.5 ounces, because iodine ions will actually, they're the flip switch to get a cancer cell to actually kill itself. So iodine is so big, and the whole world needs iodine every day, and people don't even know that. They took iodine out of all foods in 1974 and put bromide in to block iodine from coming to the thyroid. That's why women got fatter. That's why hormones got imbalanced, and that's why people have thyroid problems today. And everything's a bloody scam. So, anyways, the vaginal infusion, like you said, the vaginal infusion, why do we do that? Because guess what? You could be talking even about breast problems all the way to what they call breast cancer. And if you do the vaginal infusion, you're affecting your breasts more than by taking anything orally. That's the deal. You absorb
Absolutely.
as a woman. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. I wish I had a mangina because the reality is, if you want to heal a woman fast and you want to do it efficiently and bring the thunder down, between the ultimate coffee enema and the vaginal infusions, I can give you all the testimonials you want. We don't put them up on our website. Do you know why? Because you may not know this, but most websites are putting up fake testimonials. So I hardly ever do them. So I do what's called Real People, Real Healing Show, where people come on live and we actually talk.
That's actually even better because at least people are not going to just put something in writing, but they can actually speak at large about what they felt, even
Yeah.
along the journey of healing, because it's not like a switch.
Yeah.
Today you're sick, tomorrow you're not. It's a journey. And people can actually talk about it to give people the hope and faith that they need. Because oftentimes people expect, we've all been conditioned to have these expectations of a quick fix. And that if it's not happening within a week, they're like, well, it's not working. And why isn't something happening? But I think
Well,
that
I'll
having,
tell you, if you with our program, it'll happen within a week. I kid you not. Okay. People don't get it. If we got somebody that in a really bad condition, they're going to do two ultimate coffee enemas a day, and they might
yeah,
even do
the
up to three
enemas.
vaginal infusions. We're going to bring the thunder down. And remember, if you can create a perfect day for someone and they can just repeat that, eventually it's going to get into their subconscious. They'll never think about it anymore, and they'll just be living a perfect day. And guess what? I'm telling you right now, you'll never hear of me. You'll never hear of me getting sick and having a disease. I just did, and I'm not making this up. I just did 50 days straight, not a day off, teaching courses and doing trainings and doing shows and writing. And a few days ago, I felt like the Hulk body slammed me twice or three times on the ground. And all I did was front end load and bring my vibration back up. And people don't understand when they take nutrition, they read the bottle and they do the bottle. No, you have to front end load. Remember, if you've got a 20-foot haul, if I give you a 5-foot ladder, you can climb it 4 times, but you're no higher than 5 feet.
So true. And I think people need to understand the process and to trust the body. So I wanted to know, Darrell, before we close, if I was to hand you the microphone in the most expansive way possible and the world could hear you. So let's say every human being on the planet could hear you for 30 seconds, a minute, five, whatever. What would you want them to know the most?
God doesn't love you. It's beyond love. And if you can't find unconditional love for yourself and get out of sinner syndrome or judgment jail, and if you can't learn how to walk through life observing and going, oh, I don't really want that, but I'm going to focus on this. If you don't focus on and mind your own business on what you want, your passion, your purpose, your dreams, your desires, all it was about was getting us off track and learning to suffer for all the BS that they make up out there. They just want us off track. I'm telling you right now, that if you could ever buy into unconditional love for yourself, and if you can't have unconditional love for somebody, you put it into neutral. You stop hanging around with people that are low vibrational. You stop eating low vibrational foods. You stop drinking low vibrational drinks, watching no low vibrational things. Get rid of low vibrational habits. What if you told yourself, I was created by God Almighty and I'm going to act like it and I have unlimited potential and I'm going to act like that today? If I can say something, get a love band, life band. This says 3, 2, 1, I got this. Because if you count backwards and you start to get fear and you go 3, 2, 1, your subconscious can't count backwards. Keep yourself in the conscious mind. 3, 2, 1, I got this. 3, 2, 1, I love and approve myself. 3, 2, 1, that's the old me. 3, 2, 1, I will master this. 3, 2, 1, I got this. And you know what? You keep snapping that. And guess what? Even just wearing a love band, it's telling you that you're in the present moment. And there's a new sheriff in town called unconditional love. And walk around with a slight smile. You know what? If you tell somebody, hey, why don't you smile? You know what they're going to tell you? They're going to use the F bomb, or they're going to flip the bird at you because I got nothing to smile for. And
Yeah.
that person is doomed for the rest of their life,
Yeah.
because guess what? They didn't realize that a smile changes your pH. A smile brings in sunlight. A smile stops disease from growing within inside of you. Okay. And understand something. People want to be around people that are smiling, got their shoulders back, and are connect yourself to your breath. 3 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Focus on your breathing. And if I can say this, everyone, I created an app called the Braveheart Nation app. And there are so many things in there to track yourself, to teach yourself, to love yourself. It's all free. It's all free. We I will keep on giving as much as I can to the world. And guess what? Most people do not appreciate it, because if they didn't pay a ton for it, if they didn't pay a ton for it, they don't want it because it can't be that good. But we make the best information, created the best platform. We created our BHN app is the most powerful app created in healthcare, self-care, and love care. And if people can just get this, that it's for free, because guess what? I want to say this last thing. Whether you want to believe this or not, we're all related. We are all created by the same creator. It doesn't matter what color, what language, what race we are. I love you whether you love me or not. It does not matter. Whether someone loves me, it does not matter. I will love them. And if it's somebody like Bill Gates or somebody like that, I will not hate that person either. I will stay in neutral, mind my own business, because anybody that can walk into the White House for a luncheon and walk out, we already know that they've got a chokehold on the president of the United States. So the
Mhm.
reality is, I'm going to mind my own business and not get caught up in the drama, trauma, soap opera, because my life matters. Your life does not matter until you matter. That's all I can say.
I love the fact that everything that you said has so much to do with love, with the emotional landscape, and very little to do with the physical, because obviously you're going to the fundamental and the foundation of what true health actually requires of us to actually go back there. And the physical is the final frontier. But leading up to that, we are the soul, we are the spirit, we are so many other things, the thoughts, the subconscious, than just the body. And I know that the medical community is so fixated on the body that they've conditioned us to believe that emotions and feelings don't matter any. But even when I work with my clients, I tell them, like, if I was to say to you, cut a lemon in half and lick it, but I don't want you to do it, just think of doing that. And if it's going to elicit a response from your body, it means that I just proved to you that your thoughts actually have a biochemical reaction in the body, and your body responds to it. So therefore, you now know that if you're going to be infusing yourself with positive thoughts and you're going to visualize all of these positive outcomes for your body, the body's going to take those instructions and put them into place. But of course, it all starts, especially with what you said, with the love for ourselves, um, and to be able to just infuse every single cell with the love that the cell will take as an instruction. So, and please, everybody, go check out Braveheart Nation to get the app and get informed. So, Darrell, tell us, where can people find? I mean, I would love for them to go to your website because you talked about all your products and there's information, and I'm sure that everything is linked there. Where can they find you?
Well, they can go to docofdetox.com. That's the main site. And then they can, if they want to download my perfect day guide, they can download that at PDG. That's PDG, like perfect day guide, pdgfree.com. And
Okay.
then if they want to find out what we believe is the future, it's dodpowerpack.com. These are the clinics we've opened up. We've opened up about 150 of them already, and they're called dodpowerpack.com if they want to check that out. I believe that is the future of healing. But also, if they want to check out my Braveheart Nation app, braveheartnationapp.com or bhnapp.com, I will tell you, if we do have your email, will send you out the new Matrix movie when I have it done and the contract. Because just think if you wrote a contract for yourself and between yourself and your creator and nobody else had any influence, what would that contract look like? And remember something, everyone, okay? Your spirit is eternal. So why don't you feed it every day?
That's right. It goes down to the soul and the spirit and being able to connect to those aspects of yourself and just step out of the idea that you are a body and that there's nothing beyond the body. And once the body dies, everything ends. That's the furthest thing from the truth. So I'm
Yes.
going to put in the show notes, but for those of you that have a pen and paper, docofdetox.com to be able to get to Dr. Darrell Wolfe's website. pdgfree.com, so perfect day guide, so that you guys can actually take advantage of what would a perfect day be like. And this is exactly what you should use as a template and a blueprint for you to be able to move forward in life so that you can heal yourself, or at least take the first steps to healing. DODpowerpack.com and BHN app, which is free.com. And if you give your email address, much like what he said, you are going to be able to have access to the movie that's coming out in the new year. So, Darrell, thank you so much for bringing your fire and your conviction, and of course your unapologetic truth to my show. I really love all of that. That's what I've always loved about you. Every time I would see you on Facebook pop up on my feed, you're someone who forces people to wake up to their own power, which is so important because that is ours. It was given to us by God. And whether they agree with you or not, at least they walk away changed. I really hope the audience walked away changed from everything you shared, because we touched on so many things. So to all the listeners out there, healing is definitely not passive. It's your responsibility. It's not accidental. It's not something that happens to you. It is the greatest act of self-love. And I know that he talked about love and love for the self first and foremost. So it's the greatest act of self-love that you'll ever perform. And it always begins with self-responsibility and self-awareness, so that you could see exactly where you're at and what actions you should take. So thank you so much for being here. Until next time, of course, take exquisite care of yourself, your soul, your spirit, and even more exquisite care of your truth and your self-love. And Darrell, I would love to have you back so that we could talk about all the other things that you are so knowledgeable on. I tried to keep everything about health today, but I think you're a wealth of knowledge of everything that's coming from the financial to everything else. And I know that it can be very much tied to truth, because all of those stressors will have an impact on our body. So I'm going to presentation in the new year to come. And we could also talk about your movie, the one that you said you're going to be releasing it in the new year. How's that?
Thank you so much. And it's been a real honor and a pleasure to be here with you. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. And also down the road, maybe you'll send us this interview and we will play it on our platforms.
Absolutely. I'm going to make sure that I have this sent to your assistant. And I look forward to the next conversations. And please continue to spread your truth. You have been such an inspiration to me to be able to be on this path and to believe in the power of self-healing, especially when I was going through what they were doing to me in the hospital. So from my heart to yours, thank you so much, Darrell.
God bless and thank you for having me. 3, 2, 1,
Absolutely.
Bravehearts. We got this.
We definitely do. Thank you so much for joining me on Health Confidential, where healing is more than just symptom relief. It's a return to the body's original blueprint, guided by truth, intuition, and cellular intelligence. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And follow me on Instagram at simone.gisondi for daily insights, behind the scenes wisdom, and holistic inspiration. To explore working with me and to get your own custom made healing protocol, visit simonegisondi.com and book your private consultation to start working together. Remember, your body is sacred, your intuition is gold, and healing is your birthright. I'm Simone Gisondi, and this has been Health Confidential. See you in the next episode.